This is the Saturday morning interview. My name is Geoffrey Onditi. Today I'm with a very well-known industrialist and social worker in Kenya. He has been in business for more than 60 years. As Kenya marks 50 years of independence, Manu Chandaria will take us through his journey of life. Remember to join us on our KBC English Service Facebook fan page for comments.
Your national radio, KBC English Service.
Manu Chandaria, in your own words, who is Manu Chandaria?
Manu Chandaria is one industrialist of Kenya and also a social worker. Not only in Kenya but other places also, but social work is my major passion now. Yeah.
Social work, and you've been an industrialist for many, many years.
Yeah, well, it's already 63 years.
Only 63 years.
Only 63 years. Only 63
Just
years.
63 years.
Well, only 63 years, and as long as I'm going to alive,
Yes.
I'll continue to participate and do good.
And I must say, Manu Chandaria, that you look very healthy, considering that your age is now a bit advanced. What is the secret behind you looking very good?
Well, I don't know, let me tell you, I'm 84 plus.
84 plus.
Yeah. What makes me tick is, number one, work, both work in my own business. And second thing is the work for the society. And that ticks me most of the time. I always look forward for tomorrow morning. There's nothing that I don't have to do tomorrow morning. I have full diary for tomorrow morning.
Every day.
Every day. And that's why it's a necessity for me to make very sure that I get up and get going.
You have a diary for the day. Maybe I'll ask you, for example, if you wake up tomorrow, what is maybe your plan in order to remain active throughout the day?
Well, tomorrow morning, I'm not getting anybody from outside. I'll finish my work over here because I'll be taking a flight about middle day. So I'll leave the office around 11:30. And I'll dictate all my little letters that I had to do it. But this morning just started with a Deputy Vice Chancellor of Technical University of Kenya. Now you are here. Like that, one after the other, until the evening is over. There are lots of people who come and see, and then I have to meet, and I have to go other places. Yeah.
Yes, Manu Chandaria, before we talk more about your success, you must have started from somewhere. Where did you start from?
Well, I started from a very meager, small beginning. It was, my family was about 36 members. I was educated in the United States together with my brothers. And 4 young people. We were a joint family of about 50 members. And these people, my father, when he came over here, will be completing 100 years now.
Yes.
In next year, will complete 100 years.
So he came here in 1914?
14, 15, early part of 15. So when he came, he had hardly any education, 3 vernacular. And my mother was illiterate. And he struggled hard. By the time I was born, he had a small business established. He had his brothers and others brought in from India too. But he knew that without education, the children's future will not be any better than what his is. So he said, nothing doing, whatever may happen, you guys are going to study. And we were the first graduates in our family and in majority in our community. I studied in India, and then I did my first degree in India, and then I went to United States and did my master's in United States. To him, no education, you remain where you are, or you just have an incremental addition to your life. Educated opens up your mind, and you start seeing things which you're living over here would not do. First time when I went to India in 1940, I couldn't believe my eyes. There are 6-story buildings, the double-decker buses, the trams running, big avenues, lots of cars. You know, to me, there was not Mombasa, there was no Nairobi, which I left.
We were so backward then.
No, we are not backward, but we are behind in behind time, behind development and things like that. And when I went to United States in 48, good Lord, those buildings were just, you had to put your heads up like that. 70, 80, 90, 100-story buildings. And huge roads and bridges. And, it shocked me when I went to India. It shocked me when I went to United States that we also have the same two hands and two eyes and two ears. And why is Kenya where it is? And why is India where it is? And why is America where it is? Those is the type of the things that exposure makes you to do. To believe that you are not doing enough.
So exposure in life is very important.
Exposure is extremely important. If you don't get yourself exposed to everything that comes along, then you remain where you are.
Yes.
Or you just incremental. As you go older, you become a little wiser. That's just about it.
And then with education, you also get exposure, which is very important.
Yeah, exposure, and at the same time, a guideline. It'll give you a direction of what you should be doing. Because after all that education, after seeing the world, if I just come over here and do nothing, that's not on.
Yes, after the education that you got in India and the United States, then you came back to Kenya?
I came back to Kenya because I had a family here. And it's a joint family, as I said, that time 35, 36 members. And in the beginning, we had one little plant in Mombasa, manufacturing pots and pans, sufurias, since 1929. And 40 people were only working. And so my first job was second engineer. And at that time, in colonial times, to do any bigger expansion was very difficult.
Yes.
But with education, with the capacity, we started pushing hard. In 5 years' time, from 40, we had 500 people working. And by 1958, we had 800 people working. Now, this was all possible because education, capacity, your foresight of doing things. Otherwise, the plant was 40 people from 1929, maybe 10 people, and then 15 people, and then 20 people, and then 40. At the end of the day, 40 people, that's it.
Okay, let me take you back just before independence, when you returned back to Kenya after your education in India and then the United States. That was obviously just before independence. And you were a businessman then. You had a family that was in business. What were some of the challenges that you were facing? Because we had colonialists here.
Well, very much. I think that, banks would not give you money. Government will always not give the permission. So there are so many challenges of that nature. To grow was a struggle. But to grow against all odds was very difficult. But we decided that no, we are going to grow by creating a vision, what we want to do, pursuing the people who are going to give us the machinery, pursuing the people who are going to give us the raw material, making very sure that we keep our promises and pay them back. And then, as soon as you start becoming a little bigger, and the banks will start coming and saying, okay, we're prepared to help you out now.
They now believe in you.
Yeah, they started believing. The question is that you have to establish your name and reputation. The minute you start establishing your name and reputation, that's the day people start believing in you. And then they don't say yes to everything, but you got to struggle, convince, and slowly we grew.
And after independence, now there was freedom. Did your business expand then, immediately after independence?
Yeah, after independence, things became much more easier because then it was Kenyan industries that were supporting. The government was very supportive. And slowly, that's the time again we decided, we were advised that, look, your market is now Kenya, Tanganyika then, Zanzibar, Eastern Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Ethiopia. They are also wanting investments. There will not be only markets. If you don't go, somebody else will go. So if you want to keep your presence of 800 people in a major market, you're the biggest supplier. You go to Congo and you'll see aluminum sufurias from Mombasa. You go to Tanzania, anywhere, and you'll see aluminum sufurias from Mombasa. So we were advised, go out. And by 65, we were in 5 countries. Tanganyika at that time, then became Tanzania later.
Yes.
Then Uganda, Zambia, Ethiopia, and Burundi.
And Burundi. So your business was big actually.
It's big business now, and now we were already seeing a Pan-African, Pan-East African business. There was not a single company of that nature except multinational, or a nationalists were there in Kenya and Tanganyika and Uganda, or cigarette company were also there in all these companies. But there was not a single other manufacturing business which is local.
When the East African community broke, what was the effect?
Effect was almost, 3 different nations. You were not there, You wanted to do the business, but you couldn't do it.
Yes.
It was during that period, I think it was 68 or so, when we broke. Life almost became, you're trading with a foreign country. And to businesses, to people, to move and to do business has become very difficult. Otherwise, there were so many common services. There were East African railways, there were East African harbors, ports and harbors, there were East African education system, East African universities. Everything was there. And all of a sudden, back, you become Kenyan, you become Tanzanian, you become Uganda. Now that's, any growth needs number of people. If you're doing at that time when we were independent, we at 8 million people. We must have been 10 million by then.
Yes.
And 10 million Tanzanian, 20 and 5 million Uganda, 25 million people. Today, with the community, we are 185 million people.
And that means a huge market.
That means a huge market. That you are not then, you don't produce something which are small. You're producing in a major size. So I think that finally we came back, but late, almost 25 years lost. In the game.
Yes, let me take you back again. Since 1963, we've had the presidency of Jomo Kenyatta, Daniel Moi, Mwai Kibaki, and now Uhuru Kenyatta. Tell me about business during the presidency of these presidents.
Well, all I can say that in every presidency, when we were in colonial times, that you forgot about that, but we were in colonial times. 1929 was colonial times.
Yes.
I came back and started working in 1951, colonial times. Then the President Kenyatta, then President Moi, then President Mwai Kibaki, and then President Uhuru. In all of them, we have expanded and become bigger. That means environment was always there to become bigger and better. So we expanded today, we are much, much bigger than what we were in 1960. We also felt that it was necessary for us to be outside, within the East African territory. So business just grew. Obviously, there were so many political hindrances all the time.
Yes, when talking about political hindrance, I want you to relate business and politics. What is the relationship between these two?
My first principle is, unless you can add value in the life of a human being, whether it's business, whether it's government, it's no meaning. To bring food on the table of our children and our family is through economy, through production, through marketing, through growing. And if you feel that that is secondary vis-a-vis politics, then no. Even today, politics reigns, number one. Business, industrialization, agriculture, number two. The day when we decide that politics is number two and industries, agriculture, businesses is number one, then we will improve the standard of our living of our people much, much faster.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. Every country in the developed world has got politics, but you hardly hear those kind of politics except their growth. That is what you hear. Tigers, Southeast Asia, Singapore,
Yes.
Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. You hear all of them, China. There is politics.
There's always a comparison that we were together, we were in the same level with these Asian tigers. Where were we left?
We were ahead of some of them, not below, ahead of some of them. But the point is that they gave the prominence of economic to economy, attention to economy as the prime mover. Because if you cannot improve the lives of your people, instead of improving, you create more poverty, then that kind of businesses, those kind of nations always remain very low. And that's why the African, some of the nations are still under 20, some are under 30, because we have given so much of prominence to politics. Yes, politics has to be there, but politics, let's look at Italy. I remember many years. Every 6 months the government used to change. Right, there was politics.
Yes.
But you could see the way they were coming up. Every country, unless and until we first focus and say, are we going to put some more money, disposable money, in the pocket of that family? That cannot happen just by politicizing. Politics is necessary to see the good visions, to create new laws and better laws. But get to work.
Get to work.
That's it.
Your national radio. KBC English Service.
Science improves our health.
I'm Claudia Hammond, and today it's Health Check.
And the environment of our planet.
Welcome to One Planet. I'm Mike Williams.
It's behind the development of digital technology.
Hello, I'm Gareth Mitchell on Digital Planet.
And new discoveries are being made every day.
Science can change lives. Hear science programs from the BBC every weekday at 5 p.m. on KBC.
This is the Saturday morning interview. Today I'm speaking to Manu Chandaria, a social worker and industrialist. He's taking us through his journey of life and what has made him one of the richest people in Africa. Remember to join us on our KBC English Service Facebook fan page for comments. Okay, let me take you forward.
Yeah.
We are aiming at Vision 2030, Kenya to become industrialized, maybe. What do we do in order to achieve this vision?
Well, I'm the one of the architect of the Vision 2030.
Yes.
I was the member of the National Economic and Social Council, and I worked on that. It was very difficult to convince the government that, look, you cannot have every 5 years a new idea, and then next 5 years you change the other idea and put another thing. For everything, you got to have a longer period.
You have to have consistency.
Consistency and longer period. So if you have got 4 parliaments going through, or 5 parliaments going through, then when I'm putting my money here, in the first parliament, I know the changes are not going to happen in next 5 years, another 5 years. Which means the policies will remain consistent, and on that basis people will come and invest. But if the policies keep on changing, then it's not possible. So Vision 2030 has now given us every political party who was in the election this year, early this year,
Yes.
each one of them had the memos in which Vision 2030 was there. Right? So now everybody knows that where we want to reach. And what is the aim of reaching there? Aim of reaching is very simple. By 2030, we should be a medium income earning country. That means we should be in a medium quality of people and not the highest quality, but the medium size. That is the purpose behind it.
Yes.
So now and then we know that if I want to do something, it's going to remain consistent until 2030. Then I have the knowledge and the capacity and interest, because that vision pushes me now. That, hey, you cannot stop and think about this. It is now on with the new constitution. You progress. To me, every time, as I said, that when I went to America, when I went to India for the first time, they were all same people, the same 2 hands and 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 head and 2 legs.
Same brain.
Same, yeah. So how can we say that we cannot do it? It means we are creating every time a little, we are creating barriers ourselves for our growth. I told to His Excellency the President when he laid down the railway line in Changambe, Mombasa, the standard gauge railway. I'm the chairman of that committee.
Yes.
So I told him, Your Excellency, this what you are doing today should have been done by your father.
Many years ago.
Many years ago. Then we will not be talking now whether how we are going to get from 113 to 109 countries in GDP. We'll be talking between 40, how to become 37.
Okay. Now, we've talked about your business, how you've been successful in life, maybe in the course of your life, and becoming a very successful businessman here in Kenya. Did you ever face any challenges?
Well, challenges are always there. There's no life without challenges. But the point is that you have to face the challenges. There's no straight line and you say that there are no barriers. Everything is a barrier. But efficiency of a people, a business, or anything depends upon less barrier, faster it goes. More barriers, slower it becomes. If you come on the Limuru Road and if there are 20 barriers, by the time when you reach from here to 1 kilometer, you'll take so long a time. Yeah, you have to have a barrier because there's a school. You have to have a barrier because there's a hospital. But that's just about it. Now, if the police stops over there and there's another barrier, and then traffic stops you and there's another barrier, well, these type of barriers always, you cannot move. Yeah. So one thing was very clear to me, that if you want to move fast, barriers must not be there. And to me, I've always remained positive with every government. Partnership with government, not partnership in sense. Be a point to say what is good for the country.
Yes.
Remain honest, clear, and build and advise if necessary. Yeah. And that's why I created KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Alliance.
Yes.
When President Mai took over. I created East African Business Council when East African Community wanted something. So there is a necessity for that. As little a barrier we have, better we are. Arusha and Mauritius produces lots of tomatoes. And sometimes tomatoes are not available here. Now if you can bring the tomato up to Namanga border and it sits in the sun for the whole day and spoils, who is at loss? Tanzanian is at loss because of the money, and Kenyans are also lost because they don't have the tomatoes.
We all lose in one way or another.
Both ways we lose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the final part of our interview is about your social work. You've been a businessman for many years, and then finally you decided on your foundation. Why?
It was not finally decided. It was in 53. I came in 51 to work. In 53,
it was a long time ago.
Long time ago. We told our parents, if we are going to create wealth, then we must have a foundation. And he looked at me and he said, hey, we are not Rockefellers. We are not Ford Foundation. We don't have enough money even to feed our people, our family.
Yes.
Forget about all this. You live too long in America. And I said, no, we wanted a foundation so that it will always bring back to us a focus that whatever you earn, there is some responsibility for you, for the people in the country where you are living. So he said, no. But 56, when we were growing, and from 40 people, he knew there were already 400 people. He said, all right, here's the 10% of my company, create a foundation. And Chandaria Foundation was created. We were one of the oldest foundations. It was very small. And our idea was, even if you can even help one child to go to school, good. Maybe you have only one child's money. Next time you have got 20 children, give 20 children. So by giving and creating a goodwill in the society that you live in and helping them to grow, because everybody does not have the same possibility of growth. So we used, and that's why the Chandaria Foundation is now today considered to be one of the big, very large philanthropic organizations.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you're giving back to the society in one way or another.
Yeah, we're giving back to society. You can see at Nairobi Hospital, with our top hospital here, a Chandaria Accident Emergency Center and day theaters. You go to Mombasa Pandya Clinic, a Chandaria Accident and Emergency Center. You go to Dagoretti, Chandaria MIHU Health Center. You go to Runda, there's a Chandaria, some name I can't remember now. And you go to Mombasa, Mariakani, there's a Mabati Medical Clinic, Mabati Technical Institute. You go to USIU, there's a Chandaria Business School. You go to Kenyatta University, there's a Chandaria Business and Incubation Center, Innovation Incubation Center.
Yes.
So, as much as you can start and help, go to here our best children's hospital, which is here in Muthaiga, Gertrude Children's Hospital. His Excellency opened up just recently a Chandaria Medical Center. Yes. So, as much as you can give, and there are so many people who can all give.
So, generally, what you are saying, giving is good to oneself and the society.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when I'm going to die, my hands are going to be open like that. I'm not going to take any money with me, neither my plants, nothing, right? So the question is that the basis that once God is good to you, then you have also responsibility from where you are making the returns. You got to feed him back. You can't avoid that. We are talking about 50 polytechnics. There are 50 companies over here today. Big companies. Each one can take one polytechnic and build one.
Yes.
The BAT can build, Safaricom can build, Eastern Breweries can build, Chandarias can build, a number of them can build.
And finally, your message to Kenyans as we are marking 50 years of independence?
Well, 50 years has gone, and yet we are very poor. It's not poor just because somebody else is pushing you to remain poor. We are poor because we are not attending to what we should be doing. If it's politicians, industrialists, agriculturalists, education people, schools, principal, you name it, everybody is not attending to what we should be doing. We cannot expect a child today going hungry to bed. That is not on. So 50 years has passed. Let's not make another 50 years of same slow progress. Let's make very sure that by 2030, what we have set as a vision, we achieve that. If you don't build, you build for myself, but you build for the country. Once we add any value and put more money, yes, last year in my pocket of my man, if I put little more money, next year in his pocket, life will be much more easier. We'll not be begging nation then. We will be saying, yes, I want to send my child, here are the fees. I want to treat my child, here is the fees for treating. But that's everywhere in the world, it happens.
Thank you very much, Manu Chandaria. I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and we are supposed to be working very hard in order to avoid being beggars in this country. Thank you very much, and for sure, very many young people look unto you as a success, and you are a mentor to many of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving me this time. Thank you.
Everybody has to play his role to ensure Kenya sets a high pace in terms of development. Those are the words of Manu Chandaria. And with that, we come to the end of the Saturday morning interview. Remember to share your comments on our KBC English Surveys Facebook fan page. My name is Geoffrey Onditi. Have a lovely weekend.